to have you here, Chancellor, opening the Munich Security Conference. You have the floor. Wolfgang Ischinger, Markus Söder, colleagues from different governments, parliaments, excellencies, guests, ladies and gentlemen, with only a few interruptions, I've attended the Munich Security Conference for more than 30 years. The Munich Security Conference has always been a seismograph for the political situation. In the early years, a seismograph for the relations between the United States and Europe. For many years, it's been a seismograph for the political stage of the entire world. In the early years, I came here mainly to foster the relations with our American friends, but also to meet new actors in foreign and security policy from many parts of the world. For several years, also here in this room, we've had an atmosphere marked by increasing tensions and conflicts in the world. And at the latest, with the beginning of the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine 4 years ago, we have entered a new phase of open conflicts and wars that make us hold our breath and that change our world more comprehensively than we in this room would have thought possible for many years before. Against this backdrop, Wolfgang Ischinger, it was important to me to open this conference today because we need to talk. This is more urgent than ever. Before we do that, allow me to thank Wolfgang Isching on behalf of the federal government for heading this conference once again this year. I may say this that way, Wolfgang. Thank you very much for your great work, especially in this year. Über dieser Konferenz steht ein düsteres Motto. You've chosen a grim motto for this conference, under destruction. This motto meint wohl, and it probably means that the international order based on rights and rules is currently being destroyed. But I'm afraid we have to put it in even harsher terms. This order, as flawed as it has been even in its heyday, no longer exists. And we, Europe, well, Peter Sloterdijk wrote a few weeks ago that Europe had just returned from a vacation from world history. Together, we've entered an era that, once again, is marked by power and big power politics very openly. First of all, we see Russia's violent revisionism, its brutal war against Ukraine, against our political order, with daily cruel war crimes. But this is only the shrillest expression we see on a daily basis. We see other developments in the world as well that are different to what we in this room would have expected or discussed in the years before. China wants to be a leader in shaping the world, and it has paved the ground for that over many years with strategic patience. In the foreseeable future, Beijing could be on an equal footing with the United States in military terms. China systematically uses dependencies of others, and it redefines the international order in its own favor. If there had been a unipolar moment after the fall of the Berlin Wall, a unipolar moment in history, it has long passed. The United States' claim to leadership has been challenged and possibly lost. The return to power politics, however, is not only rooted in the rivalry between great powers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also a reflection of restless, agitated societies in times of revolutionary changes. It is an expression of a wish, also in many democratic states, a wish for strong leadership in a globalized world, in which especially democratic states are coming very close to the limits of their ability to act. Big power politics, it seems, gives strong and easy answers, at least to the big players, and at least at a first glance. With disillusion, big power politics turns away from a world in which increasing connectivity translates into the rule of law and peaceful relations between states. Big power politics has its own rules. It is fast, harsh, and often unpredictable. It fears own dependencies, but uses dependencies of others, and if necessary, even exploits them. At the heart of this stands the battle for spheres of influence, dependencies, and deference. Natural resources, technologies, and supply chains are becoming bargaining tools in the zero-sum game of the major powers. This is a dangerous game. At first, for the small players, but later on, probably also for the big players. And our friends in the United States are adapting to this at a fast pace. They have realized their own need to catch up in some areas with China, and they are drawing radical consequences in their national security strategy. They do that in their own way that does not slow down this trend, but rather accelerates it. And we, the Europeans too, are preparing. For this new era. And we reach different conclusions than, for example, the administration in Washington. Our prime task as Europeans, and of course as Germans too, is to accept this new reality today. It does not mean that we accept it as an inevitable fate. We are not at the mercy of this world. We can shape it. And I have no doubt that we will preserve our interests and our values in this world if we step up together with determination, with confidence in our own strengths. This way we will weather the storm and preserve our freedom. We will push open new doors, we will seize new opportunities, and if we get it right, we will emerge even stronger from this testing time. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very sober manner, we should firstly focus on our objectives and our possibilities. The major objectives of German foreign and security policy derive from our basic law, our history, and our geography. Above everything stands our freedom. Our security makes this freedom possible. Our economic power serves this freedom. Our basic law, our history, and our geography mandate us to always think our goals in a European dimension. This focus is in our own vested interest. It opens up Only this way it opens up the best opportunities for our country. Especially, particularly German foreign and security policy is anchored in a European perspective, and this Europe is more precious than ever. The way we approach our goals is something that we adjust today to the possibilities that we have. Let me be very frank here. Compared to its power instruments, German foreign policy of the last decades had, if I may put it that way, a normative surplus. With the best intentions, it criticized violations of the international order all over the world. It has often admonished, demanded, and scolded. But it was not worried enough about the fact that it often lacked the means to solve the problem. This gap between ambition and possibility had grown too wide. We're closing it now. And this way, we will be in a better position to face reality. So, let's be honest about our own possibilities. And one striking example is Russia's GDP is currently about 2 trillion euros. That of the European Union is almost 10 times as high. But still, Europe is not 10 times as strong as Russia today. Our military, political, economic and technological potential is huge. But we haven't tapped it to the necessary extent for a very long time. So the most important thing is to turn the switch in our minds now. We have understood that in the era of big powers, our freedom is no longer a given. It is at stake. We will need to show firmness and determination to assert this freedom. This will require our willingness to engage in new beginnings, in change, and yes, also make sacrifices. Not just someday. But right now. Aus gewichtigen Gründen tun wir uns in Deutschland. And it is for very good reasons that we have our difficulties in Germany with state power. Since 1945, it has been deeply enshrined in our thinking that we need to rein in this power. And let me add, it is not just too much state power that destroys the foundation of our freedom. Too little state power will lead you to a different path, but to the same result. And this question has a very much European dimension. Already 15 years ago, Rhetoric told us Germans, I fear German power less than German inactivity. This, too, is part of our responsibility. A responsibility that arises from our basic law, our history, and our geography. We assume this responsibility. And we need a strategy for that. To solve an obvious dilemma. The restructuring of the world by the big powers is happening faster and more comprehensively than we can strengthen ourselves. So I'm not convinced, because sometimes people automatically demand Europe to just write off the US as a partner. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand the uneasiness and the doubts that lead to such claims, and I share some of them. But still, these claims have not been fully thought through. They ignore hard geopolitical realities in Europe. And they underestimate the potential that our partnership with the US continues to have, despite all the difficulties that exist. It will not suffice to simply give smart reactions to the maneuvers and moods of the great powers rhetorically. So, in these challenging times, We are creating our own agenda. We're focusing on ourselves. This agenda is gradually being developed, and how could it be otherwise? But still, we're implementing it at full speed. We use the pressure under which we've come to create something new, something hopefully good. Big power politics in Europe, however, is not an option for Germany. Leadership in partnership, yes. Hegemonial fantasies, no. Never again will we Germans go it alone. This is the enduring lesson we've learned from our history. We assert our freedom with our neighbors, only with our neighbors and our allies and our partners. We build on our strength, our sovereignty, and our ability to show mutual solidarity in Europe. We do this with realism based on our principles. Friends, if I may say so, ladies and gentlemen, this program of freedom consists of 4 points. Firstly, we are strengthening ourselves in military terms, political terms, economical terms, and with technologies. We are reducing our dependencies and vulnerabilities. Our highest priority for us is to strengthen Europe within NATO. We are making massive investments in credible deterrence. And just a reminder, Germany changed its constitution. At the NATO summit in The Hague last June, all allies, almost all allies, committed themselves to spend 5% of their GDP on security. Germany alone will invest hundreds of billions of euros over the coming years. We support Ukraine in its brave resistance against the Russian imperialism in military, in diplomatical, political, economic terms, and also in military terms. And by the way, for a year, Germany and Europe have assumed the most important leading role. We have imposed unheard of losses and costs on Moscow. And if Moscow finally agrees to make peace, it will also be for that reason, because this is an expression of European self-assertion. We have launched big conventional procurement projects in the field of air defense, deep precision strikes, and satellite technology. We are reviving our defense industry. New factories are opening, new jobs are being created, new technologies are emerging. The Bavarian state premier said it. Here in Munich, a cluster of highly innovative defense tech companies is booming, developing disruptive technologies, partly in close cooperation with Ukraine. The Minister of Defense started the reform of our military service, and if necessary, we will adjust it further. We are strengthening NATO's eastern flank. Unsere Brigade in Litauen. This is symbolized by our brigade in Lithuania, the first time in the history of the Bundeswehr that a brigade is deployed outside our own territory. We will do more for securing the High North. The first German Eurofighters have been earmarked, and more is to follow. I often said that, and I will repeat it today. We will make the Bundeswehr the strongest conventional army in Europe as soon as we can. An army that stands firm when it has to. At the same time, we are making our society and our economy more resilient. We have initiated new legislation to make our grids and critical infrastructure resilient to hybrid attacks. We are forging resilient supply chains and reducing unilateral dependencies on raw materials, key technologies, and key products. We protect our free democratic order against internal and external enemies, and among other things, we will also strengthen our intelligence services. In this new world, competitiveness policy is security policy, and security policy is competitiveness policy. Both serve our freedom. This is why we want to be drivers of progress in the technologies of the future. AI will play a key role in this. Secondly, we're strengthening Europe. A sovereign Europe is our best answer to this new era. Uniting Europe and strengthening Europe is our prime task today. Our Europe needs to focus on what's essential.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.